Greetings to all of you, and welcome to our next session, reflection about faith. As I already said, today I would like to share with you one of my experience of enduring till the end, enduring and staying by God till the end. Endurance till the end is not about logic. It's not about intellect. It's about listening to the one I trust to and enduring to the very end. You remember that experience at the wedding in the Cana of Galilee? Gospel of John, chapter 2, verse 5. Mary, the mother of Jesus, says to the servants, do whatever he says to you. Do whatever Jesus Christ, my son, tells you to do. Whatever, everything. And those people, those servants, they did. They do. They don't question him. And they endure to the very end. And what happened? They experienced the love of God. A miracle. That is nothing else but love of God for his own people. The experience which I like to share with you took place in Botswana. I arrived to Botswana, Africa, in 1995. There was a couple of new things which really were very, very difficult. I mean, maybe not very, but quite difficult, quite challenging to me. Well, first of all, of course, is the climate. Very hot, extremely hot. Then the language, culture, style of life, totally new story in my life. But the most sort of a challenging experience was the virus, HIV/AIDS. At that time, many people in Botswana were infected with HIV/AIDS. Almost every fourth person of the population were infected. And as a result of this infection, many people were dying, many funerals. And I remember in one family, I buried 3 children within 2 years. A woman around 24 years, a man around 26, and a woman around 28 years old. After the last funeral, I went to see the parents, elderly couple. They were sitting in the room, just sitting quiet. They didn't cry. I think so they didn't have tears to cry. So I sat with them and I kept quiet. I couldn't say that, please, God is alive. I couldn't say, I was not capable to say, listen, God is still the Lord, the King of the whole universe. As a priest, as a missionary, I couldn't share with them the joy of faith. At that time, I didn't know that there was already in my mind lots of doubts. In my subconscious mind, lots of doubts. Few weeks later, it was on Sunday, I took my bicycle and I went to see my friends. We sat under the tree. We had coffee or Coke, and we discussed about everything and nothing. And I noticed that in the neighboring yard, there is a sort of a movement. People walking into the yard and walking out of the yard. Then I asked my friends, what is going on? And they said, maybe somebody is sick or is dead. Then I just took my bicycle and I went to the next door. I walked into the yard, and typical structure of of a yard in Botswana, in the village. A couple of those rendezvous houses. And by one of them I saw a group of women cooking, preparing some food. Nearby there were many kids playing. And under one of the trees I saw a couple of men discussing. So I put the bicycle against the tree. And then one of the men from that group, elderly man, wearing a suit, a tie, white shirt, he just came to me. And I noticed that he was holding a Bible in his hands. And then he asked me a question. Do you teach your people in the church that God is the Lord and the King of the universe? Do you do that? And I was a little bit surprised with his question. Then I say, yes, I do. I do tell them, I do teach them that God is the Lord, is still alive, is present with us, and is the King and the Lord of the universe. Then he puts the Bible just by my nose, close to my nose. And he says, you are a liar. When he said that, I didn't know what he meant. You are a liar. God is not anymore in charge of this world. It's death, suffering, Satan. When he said that, I didn't know what he's trying to tell me. Satan and death is in charge now of this world. And then he grabs my shoulder and he pushes me towards one of those little houses. And he says, I will show you, I will prove you who is really in charge of this world. He opens the door, pushes me inside this little house, and closes the door behind me. The first impression is darkness. In those houses there is only one little window, so there is quite dark. I needed a bit of time to adjust my sight, and then I recognized 3 elderly women sitting on the floor by the wall. It's a typical cultural matter. If somebody is dead or if somebody is sick, always there are few people accompanying that person. And then I look at the bed, and I saw there is somebody lying under the bed sheet. So I sat on the bed, and I looked at, there was a young woman, Kelat Lehile. Later on, I learned that it was Kelat Lehile. She was dying of HIV/AIDS. 26 years old woman, a mother of 2 children. Then I hold her body. It's just bones. I hold her body. I put her hair on my shoulder. And that question, where are you? Of course, not to her, but the question to God. Where are you? Where are you in this darkness, in this suffering, in the death of many people? My subconscious totally exploded and asking, where is God? And quiet. Usually we have that experience that when we ask God question, He's quiet. Usually, I am sure that you have that experience. But after a few minutes, there is a voice, beautiful, kind, and strong voice within me saying, you who teaches people in the church that I am the Lord and the God, the King of the universe, and alive in this reality. You cannot see me. You cannot see me now in this darkness, in this death. You cannot. I am. When I heard this, there was a joy in my heart. But then again he says, I was with Kelat Lehile before you came. I am now and I will be with her till the very end, for the rest of life, eternal life. I am holding her in my arms. And that was enough. That was the endurance till the end. That was the moment to knowing the truth and salvation. I put Karat Lahila on her cushion, covered with the bedsheet. I say greetings to the women, and I left the house. And when I stepped out of the house, immediately that elderly man came to me. He puts immediately the Bible just to my nose and again saying, so now you know. Now you know who is in charge of this world. Death, misery, suffering, Satan. I look at him. I look straight into his eyes. And he looks into my eyes. He keeps quiet. And after a while, he leaves me and he goes back to his companions. After a few days, Kalat died. I couldn't attend her funeral because I was at one of the outstations village. But then after a couple of days, I went to the grave. I stood at her grave, make a prayer, and my heart was full of joy because I could see her in the arms of God. I would like to invite you for our next session. That would be about the Samaritans, their experience. Once they were inspired by a woman and they left everything for the sake to personally encounter Jesus Christ and listen to Him. Please just read the passage from the Gospel of John, chapter 4, verse 142. Greetings to all of you and have a nice day.